Porsche 914 LS3 project's up in the air right now. There's my wiring harness from the last part of the video that I saw. And it's up in the air. Gas tank's going to go in today, but before I do that, this is the cable that I'm going to have to run, big giant thick cable, from the front here, right here, put a nice little terminal on it, squeeze that, solder it, put a nice little connection on it, and I got to run this, snake it all the way through here, however I'm going to do that the right way, down to the rocker panel, inside the rocker panel, and then come out back here and then land up eventually down there where the starter's at. So that's the goal for that. That's got to be done first. Then I'll walk on over here. Nomad's in the way again. It's cold outside here in Germany on a Sunday morning, but I got the fireplace going, so that's good. Anyway, so look, here's the gas tank. First thing I had to discover that these right here were actually bent the other direction. There's no pressure on these things. It's like 5, 6, 7 psi. Return line obviously and the line out. This down here you can tell I've actually got myself a little JB welded a little extension on here so the diameter of my hose fits on here. Again, no pressure on that thing. But look, let me show you this right here. This is my American made fuel pump. Does probably about 70, 80 psi, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And the engine controller actually controls the 12 volts over here, and then this is just going to be ground. That kit that I was telling you about, there's the kit number, actually gives you the hose and all these fittings and everything. Run into here. This is a Corvette regulator that basically runs anything, 65, 70 psi. Anything too much, it returns it immediately, going down this line right here and into this return line. And then this is the one that sucks off of, that actually comes into here. Then on the other end of this, you get a nice good 65, 70 psi coming out of here. This connection right here, add hose right here with these clamps. And then this right here comes over here and literally Billy Bob Joe pushes it in right here and it goes in here. I'm going to add one of these fuel pressure gauges in here as well. So that's the plan for today. I don't know if I'm going to get it all knocked out or not, but I kind of figured out this last night and scratched my head, but I think this is the plan to actually get 65, 70 psi to the LS3 engine from the front of the car with all the electronics hooked to it. I'll knock this out sometime today too. I've got all this cleaned up and painted. This is obviously the path of steering all the way to the steering wheel. This I pressed on, didn't press it on this morning, but I had to open this up a little bit, and I've got this all tightened now. So this end is ready to go. Right here is what I've got. Again, I got the car disassembled, so I figured out how to put this up in here, but obviously I don't have a key for it. So what I'm going to try to do is, it sounds kind of strange, but if I can get this off of here, like some of the 914-6s had, and I can actually turn the ignition over here, that would be righteous. But I'm going to see if I can't destroy this thing today, because I don't have a key for it anyway. I won't have a steering wheel lock anymore, but I've got a different plan for that one. I'll move over here to the rear wheels. These are the vented discs. Last night off of eBay Germany, I went ahead and ordered the ones that are single, because then I've got a lot more options about having an electric emergency brake on the back. These weren't that expensive, like 150 bucks, but again, I don't like blowing money on crap that I have to re-engineer. But anyway, that's the plan. So I'll go from here. So I hope you enjoy the video. Should be a short one today from Roger's Hot Rod Garage. Take care, like, subscribe, and share. Take care, bye. This thing soldered in here. This is my plus line running all the way to the back of the car with the quick disconnect. So check this out. I thought this was pretty ingenious. So I ran the big giant thick cable up through here, ran a screw through the center of, that's that little shiny area you see in the center, and the copper around the outside is the actual cable itself. So it presses it up against here. Then I soldered it with some soldering paste and ran all the way up and through here. So now, only thing left to do is I'm putting on the second layer of insulation, because obviously if this thing ever touches ground, then we got an issue. Houston, we have a problem. So this is just a pain in the butt. It takes a little bit of time to get all this up in here. This actually turned out pretty cool right here. So this is my line. I'm running from the front. You can probably see that up in there. And it comes through right here. And this is basically like an interstate. This is just the exit right here for the 12 volts. Cut it right here. that basically goes to this fuse panel here. That'll run the lights, windshield wipers, all the auxiliaries in here, the stereo system. So that's why I pulled this up. Now I'm going to take this right here and pull it back up in there. I just pulled it out a little bit, and then that line will run over here. It'll be too good if it actually works. This right here, I stuck in from the back, ran it all the way up through here. It made this little 90-degree turn right here. This is my hose. So now I just have to go back here, lay it underneath the car. Hold on a second. And that's where it's going to come out at, right there. You know what? That was something I was going to worry about here, but there it goes. So that's my big power cable running back to the starter and back to the solenoid. So all right, now it's just a matter of pulling the rest of these lines through after I use my handy dandy, I guess this is one of those things you use, get the other end of it here, for rotor-rootering, I guess that's what you call it in the States. But it's just got enough flexibility to push it through those passages and run the rest of these lines through. There's one. And Shazam! I've got all my lines run through here. If I have to, I can run 1 or 2 more lines through there, but I've got a couple of spares inside of here. So, good news story. So that was actually a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be. Fuel pump is got the direction going this way, and now just actually doing my soldering and everything and making sure those are actually good connections. Nice and tight. Alright, super successful Sunday of wrenching. I think I got a solid 4.5, 5 hours in today. But it's 10 o'clock at night and I've got to get up early tomorrow morning, head back to work. So this is what I've got accomplished right here, along with the other stuff in the video in the beginning. Obviously the Corvette regulator, working my way backwards. These are those quick connects. Got my little fittings. Now if you look at this right here, that's actually the fitting. But I went ahead and put those on there for good measure. Those are some really good German stainless steel clamps. And if you look right here, this is my return line, or actually the negative. And if you go down here, I've got my positive line down here. And this one is obviously protected all the way out to the front. This all will be in the actual rocker panel. And I've got all this run down here. Again, an extra line, although there's no pressure on. This is the intake. And running all the way down here, this goes to the fuel tank, the main, and the return right here. And then the only thing I've got left over here is to take this little sucker. I don't want to push it in right now because these tongs will catch it and it's a booger getting back out of there. And this runs to the engine. Now what I want to try to do is find some AN6 fittings so I can put a fuel gauge in line right at the motor, and that'd be kind of cool. So I'll go up to Summit Racing right now and see what they got on the website. But anyway, good successful day of wrenching. I'm not going to close the video out quite yet. I'll do it probably a little bit later on the week when I get that actually put in right over here. I plan on funneling it in right back there and to the side, and literally the electric fuel pump will be sitting right behind this plastic panel, which will soon be painted flat black. And then I've got my logo of Porsche sitting right there. Now what's going to happen here is this right here is going to lay right behind here, and it'll come out and pop out in the front right here. So thread that sucker up in there right now. Pretty easy. And now I've got to use my foot here. Just pull this up here, and that sucker, I need 2 people to do this actually. So that should work pretty good. So again, it'll come out here. I'll run it up underneath here, and then I'm going to have some kind of little stainless steel guard right here so the tire, gravel and stuff doesn't hit up in here. But I just got to push the rest of this sucker up in there. The pump's already in here, and just have to turn it a little bit and get that sucker pushed up in there. There it goes. All right. think that's actually going to work. All right, Roger here from the bottom of the car. So this right here is the big giant plus cable that runs from all the way to the front of the car. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook it to the starter up here, and I'm going to show you how to do that first. Right there is where it's going to go, and basically right there. Now, if you see that big giant loop I got in there, call that a maintenance loop. We used to do when we ran fiber optic cables, and that just allows you to have a little bit of extra play in the cable in case you have to do something strange. I can't see that happening right now, but check this out. Again, you know, I got a little bit of experience with the military, taught me in basic soldering class back in 1984 at Fort Gordon, Georgia. But anyway, look, long story short here, take your soldering paste right here. This is what this stuff is, soldering paste. And then I've got this nice little thick brass terminal, and what I've done, you see those little bitty holes on there? I've actually drilled little holes in here, and what that's going to do is once this thing heats up, it's going to suck the solder up in there. So first, let me put this on here, just a second. Make sure I get all the little strands in there. Oh yeah. Now, okay, a couple of them are not in there. Now what's important is I got to orientate that. Okay, right about there is where I want it. So the orientation is correct on it. Not a big deal, but just a little extra touch. And now I'm going to crush it with just a pair of vice grips. Right about there. Come on, baby. One more time. I mean, literally right there alone, that would be enough. But the little added touch, see, I mean, it's pretty tight right now. And I can start feeding that solder down in there. All right, let me wrap this video up right now. It's Sunday, so I started this about a week ago. Sun is shining here in Germany, but check this out. So the tank is in. I think it's the last time I had to bolt it in. Battery is actually in. Check this out. I got this neat little quick disconnect. Got this thing I fabricated, holding in here. I will run a whole bunch of epoxy heat shrink up here just in case for some reason this ever shifts right here. But check this out. This is kind of cool. So I took that big giant thick cable, ran up here. That's that little copper area you see, and then I ran a stainless steel screw up the middle of it, pressed it out, and then I soldered the crap out of it and then put epoxy heat shrink on the bottom. So I think it's a cool little connection. I'll put a little cover over top of that so you don't inadvertently short yourself out. But look, that line along with all this other stuff, I took the fuse box, you saw that too, put it inside, and now I've got these two clean little lines. That's the thick one, that's the power coming from right here. That'll be my ground. And let me zip on around here, coming in here through that rubber grommet, comes out here, I'm sure you can see that, and then that line runs down here. But look what I also did is I tapped myself off 12 volts here, a big giant thick cable. That's going to power this one, and then that cable I ran a snake through it and put it in the rocker panel and ran it all the way out down here, and then runs across the other side to the starter. But check this out, while I'm still here, I got my Dynamat inside the doors. You can probably see it better from that end. I know that's contrary to racing. I'm actually adding weight to the car, but tell you what, Dynamat and doors with a nice stereo system looks pretty cool. It doesn't sound hollow, if you will, and a door slam kind of harder too, because I guess they're heavier. But check this out, here's my fitting. This is just one of those GM quick disconnects. I've got my fuel line run all the way up here, away from the heat of the motor as best as possible. Let me zip around here. And then here's where it comes out. I'm going to put a fuel line right up in here with a T-connection, so something like that, so I can actually see what the fuel pressure does. And then for this next piece of acrobatics. I gotta get down here and show you. That's where my fuel line comes in. Got everything heat shrinked and soldered down there. There's where my connection comes in right there, and just got myself a little loop in there in case I ever need it. Right up there, my exhaust comes out. And I probably spent about a good hour last night on Summit racing, back and forth, running up and down the stairs, measuring again. And I've got myself a round exhaust that's going to come through here and then drop out right over here, ×2 of course. And then one more thing, check this out. There you can see my regulator that I had built. And if you look way, way back up in there, you can actually see the fuel pump way back in there. So that's sitting and riding, one more time, sorry, riding in this rocker panel right here. And more acrobatics here on the ground. It's going to come out right here, and it goes right up in there. That's actually where it ties into the bottom of the fuel tank. Right there, my two lines. I know Renegade Hybrid runs the lines on the outside. I'm sure that works as well, but I hit them on the inside. And then here, my return line and pressure line run right up in here. I'm going to tuck those up right behind here, and then I'm going to put a little piece of aluminum or something over top of that to obviously stop. The tire sits right here, and it'll throw all that crap up in there, so I got to protect these little lines here. So look, I got to go real quick because the guy calls me up. And if he actually lets me film where I got this thing from about 3 years ago, he literally has 20 plus 914s, 10 plus 911s in various state of, some are bone stock original. If he lets me film it, I'll do a video right after that and I'll show you that guy, but he's kind of iffy about that. As long as I don't tell anybody in YouTube land where they're actually at, that's my goal. So he actually has, I think, 3, if not 4, 914 6s, all original. And he's got some kind of 911 that's super light, or the Germans call it Leichtbau, and he said that's worth a boatload of money. But anyway, if he lets me film, I'll share it with you guys. If not, then I won't do it. So take care.